Hey YouTube, what's up? Back with another video. I just want to, talk about my first month of, doing YouTube, and, made it to a first month, you know. When I first started this, I did want to, go through with it and, see where I could get to, and, but like I said, first month I've made it, Also in the back of my mind, I didn't think I would make so many videos and, get to my first month of doing YouTube in itself. Because, this is out of, this is new to me, it's out of, what can I say? It's out of the ordinary for me, like I wouldn't think of, doing YouTube, uploading videos of myself, talking to people, like me as a person. I always like to, help people out and give them positive messages, and, help uplift people. Like I said, yeah, give positive message, and, tell people the truth. And, some people like me, some people don't, but like I said, I'm a sociable person, well, I used to be before, I started smoking weed. And like I said, since I've quit, I'm getting myself back. And, here I am, like I said, 1 month of doing YouTube. Hopefully many more videos to come, yeah, it's new to me, don't get me wrong, but, I am enjoying it. But, it takes time and dedication to, build your channel, so, and your audience. So I just want to, give you some bullet points on, my first month of doing YouTube. So yeah, what to expect is, low views, don't get me wrong. Your first, videos, and yeah, your first videos you upload, you're gonna get 10 to 100 max. When I first uploaded my video, I weren't getting views straight away, and, as the days was going by, there was gradually building and getting higher. Obviously I'm, still not getting much, or, the views that I want to get, but, we're slowly getting there, we're slowly building. Hopefully, I find my audience, and, more people see my story, and, we get there, we climb that ladder. And, like I said, hopefully one day my channel will be massive, and, I can help loads of people who are quitting or trying to quit weed. So yeah, like I said, don't expect to be many, loads of views and straight away, because that's what I thought. Yeah, when I jump on this, people are gonna, need help and look for help on how to quit weed. And, but like I said, it takes time, so you ain't gonna get views and, that self gratification straight away. But if you keep going, you'll get there. Don't get me wrong, I've learned a few things, and, things that I didn't expect to happen, and, things that I thought I might have been further by now, but, I'm not, because, things don't happen overnight. Yeah, so another one is the algorithm. It's still learning, it's figuring out your category, your audience. It's, trying to put you in a place where what you're talking about, people will find you straight away. Like I said, you got to be consistent in it. Yeah, and hopefully YouTube, will put my content in front of people who enjoy watching me and what I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm still new to this, and, it's not the easiest thing talking to a camera, even though it's to myself. But, it's going to be for the world to see, whoever watches my channel. So yeah, like I said, it does take some confidence, because, it's not just a handful of people who's going to see this. It could be globally. So yeah, and you're not going to have, viral success overnight. You have to keep building, and, like I said, hopefully people who are watching this will find my channel. Yeah, another point is, you'll improve quickly. Your thumbnails will get better, your titles will get better, your editing will get better, the way you speak will get better. Because back to my previous point, this is new to me, you know, speaking to a camera, and you know, to some people it is a bit strange at first, you know, but like I said, over time you get confident and things change, and you know, you never, where you didn't think, you know, you'd see yourself, it's all confidence, and it'll only get better for you, you know. Like I said, this is new to me, and I never thought I'd be doing this, you know, but I'm a trier, you know. If I want to try something or do something, it's worth giving it a go. Then, you know, just always dwelling on it and thinking about it, because, you know, later on in life you'll think, oh, what if I, you know, wanted to do this, and what if I did it back then, what could have happened, you know. So, you know, you can't knock a man who's, you know, willing to try. So yeah, another one is your subscriber growth. You know, like I said, I've only got a couple, not I'd say more than a couple, but I haven't got much, you know. But like I said, YouTube is still finding your algorithm, and you know, trying to put you in places where people want to look for this type of content, and you know, you just gotta be consistent with it, and yeah, just keep uploading. It will take time, don't get me wrong, because you know, some people, everyone's different. Some people have got the gift of the gab, some people haven't, you know. And you know, there's nothing wrong with trying and seeing where you get. So yeah, but like I said, the way you speak will change, and you know, it'll be more noticeable, and you'll look back in your videos and think, yeah, is that me, though? You know, because like I said, doing this on YouTube, you know, it's, some people will laugh, and some people, you know, but doing it yourself and them doing it, it's a different thing. So, you know, you got to give yourself a tap on the back for, you know, having that confidence into doing it. But yeah, another point is, you know, your analytics. You know, me anyway, personally, I'm always, you know, looking on it and checking it, you know, see if I've got any more views, anyone's commented, you know, my subscribers gone up. You know, that's part of the game, though, innit? You know, you just want to see yourself and your channel blow up or grow quicker than it should. But you know, it takes time. Like I said, Rome wasn't built overnight, you know. It's brick by brick, brick by brick. You know, you got to take it slow, and you know, upload, sorry, daily. And you know, the things in your lifetime, if what you want to talk about, you know, you got to remember it and put into words for people to stick around and watch. And you know, like I said though, it all comes with confidence. The more you upload and the more videos you do, the more confidence you get, and the better at talking you get, and you know, doing different things in your videos. You know, like I said, your titles, your thumbnails, your editing, you know, all that will come with it. It's part of the game. Another one is, you know, don't expect to get money straight away. You know, start getting paid, you know, because that's what I did. I thought, you know, I'd get paid quicker than what I am, or well, I'm not getting paid yet, but I thought by now maybe I might be seeing something, you know. But that's not the point, you know. Like I said, it takes time. You know, you gotta put your time and effort into this, and you know, let YouTube find your people. So yeah, you know, it's not for the faint-hearted, because you know, a lot of people I see on YouTube will upload for a couple of weeks or a month, and you won't see them upload again for ages, you know, because they've fell out with the love for it, or not seeing results quicker than they thought they would, you know. But like I said, you gotta stay consistent, and you know, just keep thriving, keep going through it, because like I said, over time people find your videos, and you know, if they like your personality as well, they'll stick around and watch you. And you know, so you just got to keep positive, and you know, to keep at it. You know, like I said, if you want to help change the world, you've got to make a change in yourself first, and you know, just keep going. So yeah guys, those are just some tips that, you know, what I've seen in my first month and what I've found out for myself. You know, like I said, some people are different. You know, whatever they're talking about or doing on YouTube might blow them up quicker than what will for others. But you know, that's goes back to being consistent, and you know, just being yourself. You know, sticking to something, you know, that you know something about, you know, sticking to one niche, shall I say, you know, talk about one thing, obviously not just one thing, but I mean a certain niche, you know, sticking within that. Because, you know, another thing I've noticed is, you know, people who upload different stuff all the time, YouTube can't find their niche and put them in a certain algorithm, you know, so it's, you like, you can oh, what's the word, you're confusing YouTube in itself, you know. So, you know, just stick to one thing and keep going, you know, believe in yourself. And yeah, just when you don't want to upload, just upload. Or, you know, if you've got nothing to talk about, think about whatever you're talking about, just think about times that, you know, affected you in life. Or yeah, you know, guys, you can do it, man. Just stick to it. But that's just, you know, a couple of things that I've realized in my first month of doing YouTube. And, you know, hopefully, you know, my viewers go up and my subscribers go up, and, you know, I get paid eventually, because that's the whole point of YouTube. And, you know, helping people. Not saying I'm, you know, doing this for money, but, you know, that comes with it. That's part of the game, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, guys, that's, like I said, that's a couple of things that I just want to tell you what I've figured out in my first month of doing YouTube. And there's still a lot more for me to, you know, realise and figure out for myself. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you're all blessed. Hope you're having a good one. Peace out.